You're sitting at your desk, coffee's going cold. Then ping. One notification. Your stomach drops, your chest tightens, your heart starts pounding before you've even read the message. That's not stress. That's not being sensitive. That's a 2 million-year-old survival reflex firing off in a fluorescent-lit office because your brain can't tell the difference between an angry email and a lion stepping out of the grass. You've done this your whole life and had no idea that exact reaction. The racing heart, the sweaty palms, the urge to run is the same one that kept your ancestors alive on the savannah. Except there's no lion, there's no threat, just a Slack message. So why is your body still bracing for a fight that never comes? Turns out, it's been doing that for longer than you think. Here's the reframe. That panic isn't a personality flaw. It's not you being dramatic. It's older than agriculture, older than cooked food, possibly older than language itself. And this one discovery rewrote everything scientists thought they knew about willpower and self-control, turns out. It was never really about willpower at all. Cravings, anxiety, insomnia, stubborn weight that won't budge no matter how disciplined you are. All of it traces back to the same root cause, a survival system built for a world that no longer exists. Your body isn't malfunctioning, it's just running outdated software. And nowhere is that more obvious than something you do every single day without thinking twice deciding what to eat for lunch. Anthropologist Frank Marlowe spent decades studying the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer groups on Earth. Living almost exactly as humans did hundreds of thousands of years ago. And what he found about their diet quietly dismantles everything the wellness industry has ever told you about sugar cravings. For the Hadza, sugar is rare. A wild honeycomb might appear once a month, maybe less. Fat from an animal kill? Unpredictable at best. So when those calories showed up, the brain had one job: want them intensely enough to prioritize them above everything else. That's not weakness. That's a precisely calibrated survival algorithm, one your brain is still running right now. The problem? You're not finding a honeycomb once a month. You're finding sugar in every aisle, every app, every gas station checkout line. But the algorithm hasn't updated. It still treats a Kit Kat like it might be your last calories for weeks. Most people blame themselves for that. They shouldn't. But cravings? That's the mild version of this system. When it fully escalates, it doesn't just want something, it panics. Stanford neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky spent years studying stress hormones in wild baboons, and what he found applies to you more directly than you'd probably like. When a baboon gets chased by a predator, cortisol spikes hard and fast. Heart rate surges. Blood diverts to the muscles. Every non-essential system shuts down. And then the threat passes. The cortisol drops. The baboon goes back to eating grass like nothing happened. The whole cycle? Maybe 3 minutes. Your body runs the exact same hardware. The problem is your threats don't resolve in 3 minutes. A difficult conversation at work, a bill you can't pay, a passive-aggressive text you're not sure how to answer, your brain logs all of it as predator activity. Every single one triggers the same cortisol spike that was built for a lion. And unlike the baboon, your lion never leaves. So that stress response fires dozens of times a day, every day, with no resolution, no sprint, no escape, no moment where your nervous system gets to stand down. This isn't anxiety just being in your head. It's a hardware response running in a software world. And the WHO estimates 284 million people are living with anxiety disorders right now, which starts to make a lot more sense when you realize we're all running the same broken loop. That's your mind under constant ambush. But what happens when you're finally supposed to rest? In 2015, UCLA sleep researcher Jerome Siegel did something surprisingly simple. He strapped sleep monitors onto members of the Hadza in Tanzania and the San people of Namibia, and just watched. No artificial light, no screens, no alarm clocks. Their sleep cycles were governed entirely by sunrise and sunset, the same way human sleep had been calibrated for roughly 300,000 years. Scientists only discovered the full implications of this recently, and it changes everything about why you can't put your phone down at midnight. For nearly all of human history, your brain had one cue for releasing melatonin darkness. Real darkness. The kind that doesn't exist anymore in most of the world. When the sun went down, your chemistry shifted. When it rose, it stopped. Your brain still expects that exact sequence. But when you're lying in bed at midnight, scrolling through a screen that pumps out the same light frequency as a midday sky, your brain doesn't register winding down. It registers sunrise. It kills the melatonin. It waits for the day that never comes. This isn't a discipline problem. You're not weak-willed for staying up too late. You're just accidentally convincing a 300,000-year-old internal clock that the sun came back up. The CDC estimates roughly 1 in 3 adults now reports insufficient sleep, and that number keeps climbing in lockstep with screen time. And it's not just when you sleep. It's what your body does with everything you eat while you're awake, especially during the moments it thinks a famine might be coming. In 1962, geneticist James Neel proposed something that was quietly radical at the time, and has only gotten more relevant since. He called it the Thrifty Gene Hypothesis. The idea is straightforward. Human bodies evolved to store fat aggressively during periods of abundance. Because famine wasn't a possibility, it was a guarantee. Feast and famine weren't extremes. They were the rhythm. They were just called Tuesday and Wednesday. So your body developed a system. Eat abundantly when food is available. Store every spare calorie you can, because the lean period is coming, and when it does, that stored fat is the only thing standing between you and starvation. That system still runs. Flawlessly, actually. The problem is the famine never comes anymore. You eat, your body stores waiting for a scarcity that never arrives. And it's not just the food. Remember those cortisol spikes from the stress response? Chronically elevated cortisol actively signals your body to store more fat, not less. Add disrupted sleep on top of that, which independently increases hunger hormones, and suddenly you have 3 ancient systems, all misfiring simultaneously, all compounding each other. This isn't a willpower failure playing out across individuals. The WHO now estimates over 1 billion people globally are living with obesity. 1 billion people aren't all making the same personal mistake. They're all running the same ancient code in an environment it was never designed for. So picture that moment again, the one from the very beginning. So, back to that desk. The notification pings. Your heart rate spikes cortisol, flooding a body that's already been ambushed a dozen times today. By 3 p.m., your hand drifts towards something sweet, something dense, something your brain has flagged as survival critical, even though lunch was 2 hours ago. Tonight, you'll lie in bed with the screen inches from your face, wondering why your brain won't quiet down. And somewhere underneath all of it, your body is quietly stockpiling energy for a famine that stopped coming thousands of years ago. 4 systems. One ordinary Tuesday. All of them executing exactly as designed. You're not broken. You're just an ancient human running a survival system nobody ever updated. And maybe that's the most useful thing you'll hear today. Because once you stop framing this as a personal failure, you can actually start working with your biology instead of quietly resenting it. The mismatch is real, but so is the understanding. So next time your heart races over an email, don't fight it. Don't spiral. Just remember you're not overreacting. You're just really, really old.